Mr. Edgeworth? Sorry, I spaced out for a second there. This grand piano is the pride of our plane. It can play the music of whatever CD we insert into the CD drive. That's not a piano! It's more like an overgrown music box. Ah, but its keys depressed along with the music. As long as there really is someone playing it. Some people have entirely too much money to waste on overly complex toys. I guess we should... Oh, nope. It's toppled over a chair. It's another victim of the turbulence. No! Look at all the grape juice staining in the back! I may not look it, but this chair is extremely valuable. It was? Yes! It was used when the Rocker Pals came on tour this plane! The Rocker Pals leader sat in this very chair! I'm sorry, but what are these Rocker Pals? Can't believe you've never heard of them! They're all the rage! The Rocker Pals are an extremely popular international band. They added the pals part, so they became more popular, especially with among teens. Ah, that explains it. I'm not really one for music of today. Maybe I should ask Detective Gumshoe about them later. On second thought, I can already see how confusing the conversation would get. Never mind. Well, that just leaves. What floors does this elevator service? Only the first and second, although it can also go down to the cargo hold. However, that requires a flight crew keycard. So the only floors accessible to the passengers are the first and second, huh? I won't rest until I've inspected every suspicious-looking nook and cranny. Let's start with the money. Money is strewn all over the floor in the elevator. I would guess it was all in Mr. Hicks's wallet at some point. Interesting that it's all in the wallet. I doubt anyone was expecting to find a dead body in an elevator on this flight. But so Mr. Hicks, he's really dead? Yes. She's trembling, although I can't fault her for that when there's a corpse right in front of her. Mr. Hicks, if you're really dead, then please answer yes. I see, she's over the trembling now, although a new symptom seems to have appeared. Anyway, I should focus on the victim's body. Let's see. There's blood on the back of Mr. Hicks's head. Could this be the cause of death? He appears to have been struck very hard. Blunt force trauma. Even his glasses are broken. Interesting. What's this? What hand? Nope. The hand looks like he was indeed holding his cell phone. Also, what is that thing? Oh. There's something sticking out of his pocket. Hope he won't mind if I take a look at what's inside. It's a picture. It looks like it was taken inside the building somewhere. I don't understand this, but... What evidence do I have? It was hit on the back of the head. If this was a souvenir picture. This is Red's cell phone. So I'm gonna try some logic first. Let's see. Broken glasses, blunt force trauma. If we link these two together, then perhaps... Not exactly a shining example of perfect random logic. What was the killer in the elevator? Well, this should be easy enough. True, there wasn't anyone else in the lounge other than myself right before the turbulence. But if the killer was in the elevator along with the victim, then that's a different story. I could prove that the killer rode the elevator with Hicks. I want to point out something about that. Because I believe there's a link with this. Crime scene completely contradicts piece of evidence. I'm sorry, but where? Oh, I see the truth here is in my mind's eye. I'll try to explain it in a simpler fashion for you. Alright. There's nothing missing in the scene in front of me. Show Miss Tina what's off through this piece of evidence. Maybe I'll just present it to her. Anyone need assistance? Yeah, I just want to ask you about this. You're gonna show me that to me? I still cannot allow you to free reign. I'm sorry, but I must admit that I still have my doubts about you. Guilty until proven innocent, I see. Actually, is it anywhere nearby? I actually don't see it anywhere nearby. Nope, still money. I want to know what that dog... What is this sinister-looking figure on the floor here? Now it lets me look at it. Oh, that's a piggy bank of our company mascot, Mr. iFly. It's just one of the many pieces of merchandise we saw at the in-flight shop. This bank is a limited edition, so it's popular that we're down. So it's so popular that we're down to our last one. You have an in-flight shop? Yes, it's just beyond the lounge to the right. The shutter to the store is closed at the moment, but it was open the whole flight up until Mr. Hicks's body was discovered. There's blood on here. Could this have been the murder weapon? Interesting. So if we link this possible murder weapon to that blunt force trauma... A statue with blood on it lying next to the body of a man who was beaten to death. Oh, Mr. Edgeworth, I think I figured something out. Yes? What is it? The way the blood on this is, it looks like it matches up with the wound on his head. Well, aren't we deserving the master of the obvious title? Well, what do you think, Mr. Edgeworth? Don't you think that's worth investigating? It would appear that this figurine is our murder weapon. I just knew it. I mean, I can't think of any other connection. Perhaps Master of the Oblivious would be more befitting. Okay. It is rather obvious to me that he's missing his cell phone. Go figure. Okay. So I guess since we can't look there, the clouds, they tell me nothing. I can't seem to see anything resembling a cell phone. Let's see. This is the murder weapon? It says iFly Airlines. You know, I've seen it occur a lot recently. It's been bothering me greatly. But why does nobody know how to properly capitalize the space nouns anymore? Oh, Edgeworth. There's some blood on one of the corners. Could this piggy bank be the murder weapon? I suppose this is where you insert your coins. I have to say, for a piggy bank, it's made rather well. So well, in fact, that I'm not sure there's a way to take money out. What I'm trying to point out is that the phone's missing, but I don't think I can do that just yet. Like, this will probably result in nothing. Yeah. Go figure. I had such amazing prowess in the first time. What or who was this? This is the bronze statue of the founder of iFly Airlines, Mr. Hugo Flights. The one on the left is of when he was in his 40s, and the other of him is in the one on the left is of when he was in his 40s, and the other is of him in his 80s. Did the man actually age in the span of 4 decades? Maybe I need to squint more. I actually cannot travel anywhere else, which means it has to be here. Tenero. About the victim. I was wondering if you noticed anything, Miss Tenero. Yes, I can't help but notice the sad atmosphere in here. Yes. It is rather a tragic crime. I'll say, robbing the poor man after bludgeoning him to death? Talk about rubbing in the salt. I believe I mentioned this earlier, but no money was stolen from Mr. Hicks. Oh, yes, you did. Sorry for the accusation. But I still insist there's something off or missing when he was at his seat. Oh? Something's missing? I can't forgive someone who would do this to a passenger of mine. I swear to a professional flight attendant that I will capture the culprit with my own hands. And I promise that as a prosecutor, to solve this case with logic and deduction. I should go over all the leads I've collected so far one more time. The key to solving this lies in the intersection of my logic and my evidence. Broken glasses. If only I could prove that the killer rode the elevator with Hicks. Out of curiosity, is there a link between these? I doubt there is, but I just want to know. Yep, I thought as much. Out of curiosity, Gennaro, I was wondering about the captain. Mr. I'd like to ask about the investigating the lounge. As long as you have the captain's permission, I can't stop you from looking around. And if you could pass the message along, tell him I'm grateful for the spirit of cooperation. I will, however, please realize that you are still under suspicion. To be honest, I still have my doubts about you. Of course, and I take no offense. Do you really understand what I'm saying? Yes, verily. Do you pinky swear you do, on your honor as professional prosecutor? I pinky swear I do, on my honor as a professional prosecutor. Well, I guess that settles it. I feel my honor as a man slowly diminishing. I don't need to point out his cell phone missing. What was hanging off this lanyard? Oh cool, I found the magical pixel. Nothing's missing with this picture. If I could just put my finger on it. Now that I have found the magic pixel, let's put my finger on it. Mr. Hicks's machine is nowhere to be found. His machine? His cell phone, Miss Tenero. Ah, so I guess because it's not here. Yes, I think we can safely deduce that the killer took it. So now that we know that's missing. I wonder if there's anything else. There's some spilled grape juice in the front of the elevator. I assume it was spilled during the turbulence. Oh, we must clean it up or someone might get hurt. Aha! Huh? What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? I found some very important evidence. What is the important piece of evidence? It is that. Take that. What is it? They're a little smudged, but I think we can both agree they are a set of footprints. So you think? Yes, these belong to our killer. Oh, then maybe we should check the shoe size of everyone in first class. I don't think that will be of any help to us. Unfortunately, the prints are too smudged, which will make it hard to get a definitive match. Oh, I see. But then we have the direction of the culprit. We can deduce. I have it! I'm sorry, but I don't understand, Mr. Edgeworth. I can prove that someone other than myself was here at the time of the murder. What? Really? Yes. It's rather simple, actually. The proof is in the pudding. Or rather, the grape juice in this case. These footsteps here confess to me this very fact. That someone exited the elevator. Alive. Seeing as how the victim is dead, it would mean a second person. But couldn't the footprints have been Mr. Hicks himself? Ah, but if you take a look at the victim's shoes, you can see the soles are spotless. Which means Mr. Hicks wasn't alone in the elevator. In fact, it's quite the opposite. There was actually one other person inside the elevator. We now know. It also looks like there's tire marks coming from it. Alright, it's full credibility. What's going on over there?
時間が間違えています。私は払い戻しをしたい。ごめんなさい。しかし、映画を...
Unforgivably. This is unforgivable. Do you understand what I'm saying? The movie is late. It's the same level of bad as the plane arrived late.
The movie.
What? I will not tell you anymore. You are just wasting my time.
What is the matter, Mr. LeBlanc? There is no emergency. Please return to your seat, sir.
Do not tell me what to do. I do not need to sit down. Well, Mr. Particular, did you prove you're innocent yet?
If you would like, I will prove my innocence to you right now.
What nonsense! Are you saying my eyewitness testimony is mistaken?
Not mistaken. Merely that there is room for doubt. I'd be most honored if you could please tell me what you saw in detail once more.
Fine, suit yourself.
Please do.
I'm certain I saw Mr. Hicks enter that elevator. It was when the needles in my pocket watch pointed to the 6 and the 12. Body was discovered 15 minutes after that in the lounge, yes. I knew the only person in the lounge at the time must be the criminal.
Mr. LeBlanc's conclusions seem to make logical sense. After all, the only person in the lounge at the supposed time of murder was me.
So, my eyewitness testimony. If you think you can destroy it, then come, let me see. Harry, do I look like a man who is having the time to wait for you?
Why is he so irritated? I'm the one accused of murder here. Anyway, I must find a way to discredit Mr. LeBlanc's account somehow, and fast.
I'm certain I saw Mr. Hicks enter the elevator.
Hold it! Mr. LeBlanc, were you able to get a good look at the inside of the elevator at that time?
Of course, I saw what was inside.
And you are sure that the victim was in the elevator alone?
Yes, the only person inside was that Mr. Hicks man.
This last outburst is a bit too important to let go.
The only person inside was this Mr. Hicks man.
Hold it. Was he really alone?
Of course! I will even bet 1 cent.
A cheap ante. For a cheap testimony. But if that's how you want to play it, I'll happily take your 1 cent.
It was when the needles in my pocket watch pointed to the 6 and the 12.
I assume the pocket watch in this case is the one you keep checking. Is that correct?
Oh, you noticed! It is very expensive antique, I'll have you know. The feeling is wonderful when you finally wind it up by hand.
It does look very well designed and quite classy.
I'll have you charged you if you want to touch it.
That's quite alright. Let's continue with your testimony.
What a cheap man you are. I've returned the time you wasted back to me. And if we must, I saw Mr. Hicks enter the elevator at 6 o'clock. The body was discovered 15 minutes after that in the lounge, yes?
It's true that I found the victim's body at 6:15. And that was when I found the two of them as well.
You see? It all matches my testimony. And you, the only person in the lounge at the time, must be the criminal.
Hold it. That is the most mistaken way of thinking I've ever heard of.
Hold it! No. Your silly opinion is what is mistaken.
Please calm down, the both of you. In a sense, you are both mistaken. Well, if that isn't the pot calling the kettle black, then I don't know what is. I spy a little hole in his words. As you wish, Mr. LeBlanc, I will now show you proof of my innocence. The only person inside is Mr. Hicks. But then who is this? Mr. LeBlanc,
What is it?
there is a very glaring contradiction in your testimony.
What do you mean?
Please take a look at the area in front of the elevator. There, the spilled grape juice.
Yes, and? You admit that you also spilled it with the blood?
No, it spilled itself during the turbulence. But the interesting thing here is the set of grape juice footprints.
Footprints?
Yes, the ones that lead from within the elevator out into the lounge itself. It's evidence that proves that someone other than Mr. Hicks exited the elevator, alive.
Oh!
There must have been another person in the elevator with Mr. Hicks. Now then, I'm done playing games. Why don't you tell us the truth?
Kukano, Dori ni kano desu ka?
Can you please translate for us? No way, that's totally impossible. I guess is what he's saying.
No way! That is totally impossible! I know there was no other person in there. I saw with my own eyes.
If you want to know what I think, Mr. Edgeworth, I don't think Mr. LeBlanc is lying to us. I suppose she's right. He doesn't seem to be lying. But then what does it mean? What about this contradiction? Mr. LeBlanc, please, just once more, will you recall the details of what you witnessed for me?
I was very upset when Mr. Hicks passed by my seat. I was always checking the time over and over again. I happened to follow that man with my eyes when he passed me. I saw clearly into the elevator he was entering. But I swear there was no one else inside. No one.
Mr. LeBlanc, if you would please calm down.
What? Dare you too have an issue with eyewitness testimony?
No, not at all. Please forget I said anything. Yet again, he doesn't appear to be lying. But I can't let this testimony stand as the truth.
I was very upset when Mr. Hicks passed by my seat.
So, are you still upset now?
I am always upset. The only time I am not is when I have my piece of art in my hands.
It's surprisingly easy to believe that about him.
But there was even more upset when Mr. Hicks walked by me. I was always checking the time over and over again.
Why were you so attentive to the time?
Because something unforgivable was happening.
Come to think of it, you were yelling about something unforgivable earlier.
I was giving a complaint to the attendant about the movie starting time. Return back to me my time in money. You understand the point?
Movie? Is he talking about the in-flight one that's mentioned in the magazine? A summary of the plot and the start time. Interesting.
They're supposed to show License to Love, Laugh, Maim, and Murder. I cannot see that movie in my country. You can only see it in the international flights. I look forward greatly to that movie. I check my pocket watch whenever possible so I would not miss it. I even set my pocket watch to the destination time when I came on board. So my poor watch is not wrong. It matched the schedule. But the movie was still late. Very, very late.
Hold it! Your pocket watch. I'd like to ask you a little more about it, if that's alright.
The movie I wanted to see would not start, so I checked my pocket watch many times.
So this movie you mentioned, is it the one listed in the Sky magazine?
Yes! So looking forward to watching License to Love, Laugh, Maim, and Murder.
Miss Tenero, was this movie shown on this flight? Yes, it was shown at the scheduled time. Isn't it possible you simply slept through it by accident?
Nonsense! You doubt me?
No! Now stop pointing at me like that! Odd. How did he miss a movie that he was so clearly hoping to see?
I checked my pocket watch a great number of times. That much I know for sure. My watch is set to my destination's time. I already set it when I board the plane.
You're sure about what you just testified, Mr. LeBlanc?
Yes, of course. I'm a very busy man, and I'm immediately busy when I land. I have many places to go, and not time to watch adjusting my pocket watch.
I see. That's a very valuable statement you just made.
Flatter me all you want, but you will not get 1 cent out of me.
That's alright. All I require is this piece of testimony.
I happened to follow that man with my eyes when he passed me.
Since you were only happy to see him, it's possible you missed something in that glance.
Hold it! Even if I only happened, I did not miss a thing.
And how can you be so sure?
Just because!
I would appreciate it if you didn't take my life so lightly with a simple just because.
Well, then I am only making a joke. I saw Mr. Hicks, alright? And I saw clearly in the elevator he was entering.
Is it possible that someone was hiding inside?
What? You dare insult me? I have belief in my eyesight. When I look at the art to sell, I am told often I have great sight for the arts.
I think the phrase you were looking for was great sense, although that's debatable. But isn't it possible someone was just outside of your line of sight?
You are persistent. I tell you I looked clearly. But I swear there was no one else inside. No one!
Why do you insist that you are absolutely not mistaken?
Because when I say I'm not wrong, I am not wrong!
Mr. LeBlanc, if I may, I think beyond misconceptions and mistakes lies the truth. Funny, that suspiciously mirrors something I told her only a little while ago. I honestly don't think Mr. LeBlanc is lying. I don't think he's lying either. But I think he might be mistaken about something. Mistaken? Yes, and I'm going to correct his mistaken recollection with evidence. And his professional attendant shall witness the prowess of a professional prosecutor. The problem with his statement starts here, that his watch is set to the destination's time. I always glanced over this about the Sky magazine, but all the times in this magazine are corresponding to the departure time zone, not the destination. Mr. LeBlanc, you said this just now in your testimony. I even set my pocket watch to the destination time when I came on board. Now, if your watch has been set to a destination's time zone, it would mean that your watch is displaying the time of our destination.
Yes, and the correct time is worth 6 cents.
I would like you to take a look at this. If you believe the Sky magazine clocks out its flight run in accordance to the time of our departure time zone, of course, the movie schedule was also created with that in mind. Miss Tenero, for confirmation's sake, what time zone is this flight aligned to right now? Well, we made a short stop at a transfer point. That's right. It was in that small Asian country, the Republic of Zhengfa. But we didn't readjust our onboard clocks at that time. So right now, we're still running on Borginian time.
What?
The time difference between Borginia and our destination is 9 hours. In that case, it's only natural that your watch would be out of sync with the schedule. Further, with your analog watch set to our destination's time, it would appear to be running 3 hours fast when compared to the flight's onboard clocks. It also changes everything about your testimony. And you can bet 1,000,000 cents on that. In light of this information, it means you saw Mr. Hicks 3 hours prior at 3 a.m.
My 1,000,000 cents!
That should clear up all the remaining accusations. So this basically widens the time frame for the time of death, right? Yes, because Mr. LeBlanc saw the victim enter the elevator at 3 a.m. It means that the time of death could be anywhere from 3 to 6:15 a.m. The question now is, where was Mr. Hicks during that span of time, and what was he doing? I have something to say. And you are?
Yeah, oh, I'm Cammy Meal. I'm a flight attendant.
And what is it you wish to say?
Well, I think your story's a little different from how I remember it.
What do you mean, Cammy?
I saw Mr. Hicks sitting in his seat at 5 a.m., you know.
What? How can you be so sure of the time?
Oh, that's right. He pushed his call button while we were parked at the transfer point.
Ah, the stop you made for refueling at cargo transfer at Zhangfa, correct?
Yeah. Yes, it was from 4 to 5 a.m. according to our clocks.
And during that time, did any of the passengers leave or did any new ones board this flight?
No. Not a single person got off or on in Zhangfa.
What about the flight crew?
The few who were handling the cargo transfer might have temporarily gotten on or off. But eventually everyone, including Cammy and myself, came back on the plane.
So basically, I can assume that no one left or got on since our initial takeoff.
Interesting.
I should keep that in mind. That essentially makes it a closed room, or closed plane incident.
Yeah, and I answered his call. I could tell you Mr. Ackby Hicks was there to see when we took off again at 5 a.m.
Alright, then that puts the time of the murder between 5 and 6:15 a.m.
Okay, now what time did you come down to the lounge, Mr. Edgeworth?
I remember coming down here almost as soon as we left the Republic of Zhangfa.
Oh!
You! You were here the whole time from 5, yes? You're the only one who could be the killer!
Mr. Edgeworth, were you really here in this lounge the entire time from 5 a.m. onwards?
Unfortunately, yes.
But then how do we explain the footprints?
Is that not obvious? This man waited for Mr. Hicks here in the lounge, waited to kill him. And then he put his corpse into the elevator. That is when the terrible has happened. My eyewitness testimony may have been mistaken, but what time I saw Mr. Hicks under the elevator on the second floor does not matter. Because the entire incident concluded here in the lounge.
Everything happened in this lounge? Is that what you really believe, Mr. LeBlanc?
But you have another idea.
I simply feel that there is something out of place in the scenario you presented. Something that could tie this car to a location other than the lounge would be the murder scene itself.
I need to hear wild desperation stories. Grasping for weeds, I think is how I see it, yes?
I didn't mean to pull that piece out. It was simply a slip of the hand, I assure you. Other than that, there is another location other than this lounge. So I don't know where this is. Fine then. Actually, now how come I didn't point this out? My mistake. The murder weapon. This little piggy bank is sold in the in-flight shop. It is sold there and only there, and is not displayed here in the lounge. How then did it find its way here? Don't you think don't you find that to be a tiny bit suspicious?
Such a trivial point. It only means you prepared it, taking it from the shop first before coming here. Does not prove you're innocent at all.
Is there no way to win that with this man?
Hold it, if I may.
What is it?
You see, well, it's just as Mr. Edgeworth says.
Oh, and why do you know this so well?
Well, it's just that the piggy bank was there in the shop. I saw it with my own eyes.
And when was this?
It was maybe around 5:40 a.m.
Isn't that just before we hit that patch of turbulence?
That's right.
You were in the shop just before the turbulence?
Yes, I was.
Come to think of it. Miss Tenario, when I found the body, I believe you came out of that door.
Yes, I did.
And what is beyond that door?
That's the flight attendant's room.
Then we were on the first floor?
Yes. I had to do something at the shop and in the flight attendant's room.
So I went to the shop first, and then to the flight attendant's room. Are you saying you passed by me at some point? Yes, you seemed really into the issue of Sky Magazine you were reading at the time. I don't suppose you noticed me walking by. I vaguely recall someone walking by, but I didn't take notice of who it was. Anyway, the piggy bank was definitely there at the shop when I went there.
Why did you go to the shop in the first place?
I went there for a work-related matter.
Work, you see?
Yes, the upkeep of the shop is also one of my responsibilities.
Why did you not say anything about that until now is what I want to know.
In any case, I believe it's clear that the shop needs to be investigated as well. Shall we head over there then? Hold it!
What is it now?
Aren't you forgetting something, Miss Rhoda? Don't you need the captain's permission to check the shop? No, I haven't forgotten. But I have already asked him for permission to search the entire plane. So I think we're alright. Huh? That's weird. What is? Well, I just talked to the captain, see? And he said that he didn't give you any permission to do anything like that at all.
What is the meaning of this, Miss Tenero?
It means he's lying. Go on, admit that you are. You said you had permission to search all over, but you don't. And yet here you are.
You flight attendant! What are you trying to do? Spill the sheep over us?
The captain's calling for you, Miss Rhoda. Oh, but don't worry. I already got permission to search the shop with the captain. See, unlike you, I do things the right way.
Miss Tenero, why would you do such a thing?
Please excuse me. Looks like I get to be in charge now. Please go back to your seat, Mr. LeBlanc. Now then, Mr. Edgeworth. If you would follow me, I'll be your guide from now on.
There's something about Miss Tenero that has piqued my curiosity. But right now, investigating the in-flight shop is my top priority. Miss, are you okay? Miss Meal, about investigating the in-flight shop. You're of no use to me asleep. Wake up!
What's up?
I need you to come with me to search the shop.
Go on ahead without me. I'll show later.
How has this woman not been fired yet? I shall go alone. Never mind, she followed me. So this is the in-flight shop. It's quite a mess in here.
You think? Yeah, I guess I'll have to clean things up then.
Hold on! You can't clean up a potential crime scene.
Oh, thank goodness. I hate cleaning so much.
I mustn't rush things here. I must remain cool, calm, and collected. Because this piggy bank was left at the crime scene. There's also a very good chance that the killer had paid this place a visit. Let us investigate. Miss Mew?
I don't know much about this shop, but you can still ask me about whatever.
Do you notice anything? So what do you think about this? About what has happened regarding this case?
I don't know. I think you're a killer, though, Mr. Edgeworth.
I can't assure you that I'm in here in this shop to prove just the opposite.
Huh? Oh, yeah, but it was me that got you the permission to look around. You know? So don't forget that, okay?
How am I supposed to thank you properly if you insist on falling asleep?
Huh? Well, you know, really show your thanks. See that item for sale over there?
Sorry, but you're going to have to make do with my words of appreciation. Nice try, though. What are these?
Oh, those are company's completely original line of suitcases. They're practically flying out the door. That's how popular they are. You should buy one and see how you like it. You won't regret it.
Perhaps that's how things work on this flight. But in the real world, you try, then buy.
No way! But either way, it really doesn't matter.
True. Either way, why would anyone buy a suitcase after they boarded the plane?
Anyway, you see that? Just look at all the Mr. I Fly heads painted on there. Cute little company mascot, isn't he? They're painted on with a lot of care. Doesn't he look like he's about to jump out at you?
It is certainly making something jump inside my stomach.
Oh, I guess there's no fooling your refined taste. You look like you really wanted to get one. And I thought I was going to finally make my first sale, but you saw right through me. Glad that's done, though. Never make me try to give you a sales pitch ever again, okay?
But I never showed any interest in it to begin with.
It's pretty horrible, isn't it? You want to know something? This suitcase is designed by Miss Rhoda.
Miss Tenero designed this?
Yeah, it was a company-wide contest.
Well, it does have a very sharp design sense.
Sharp? Like sticky sharp cheddar, maybe. I really had no idea why the bigwigs decided to go with it. It's so... well...
Miss Tenero designed this, did she? It's definitely not what I would have expected.
Ah! You okay?
I'm fine. Please watch yourself this meal. Letting a suitcase freely roll around has got to be a safety violation.
Here, I'll put it back.
There's a wide selection of souvenirs for sale in these display cases.
You know what I'd suggest?
Sorry, but I have no intention of buying souvenirs for this trip.
Alright. How about you buy something for me then, as a present?
I can't think of a single reason why I'd want to buy you anything.
But I've had my eye on that pendant for such a long time.
Try paying some attention to me when I ask you something, and then we'll talk. Of course, that made her be quiet. Stuffed toys, just like the ones Miss Meal is holding, are on display here. They're relatively cheap, which explains why they're displayed so haphazardly.
How about it, Mr. Edgeworth? You know you want one too. They're great for when you're stressed.
Why do I envision stuffed animal abuse when she says that? Inside this display case is a row of lifesavers and life vests for sale.
We saw a lot of those when there's some kind of accident or something. But some people buy them even when nothing's going on. How about it, Mr. Edgeworth? Care to buy one?
I sense that this shop is one shopper away from being sued. I keep going. The glass in this display case door is shattered all over the floor. And it looked like there's nothing on display inside either. Wait, actually, I think there is something. What's this? A mini captain's hat. I swear I've seen one of these before. Is this all that's in here? What's this? Not a display case. Suitcase design of Miss Tenero. Has one sharp design. Huh. Let's think for a moment. I'm pretty sure... Didn't he wear a signature hat? A hat probably used to be on the piggy bank's head. Let's give it a go and see. I believe this piggy bank was forcibly removed from this display case. Does this mean that the killer broke the glass to get to it?
Really?
Don't tell me you don't know where things go in this shop.
Well, I don't. Miss Rhoda's in charge of this place. So come on, how should I know anything?
I sense that further inspection of the display case is needed. Let's go get a more in-depth look. Rest until I've inspected every suspicious-looking nook and cranny. The glass in this door is broken. Perhaps it was the killer who broke it in order to take the piggy bank? But it's a bit odd that the inside of the case is so devoid of glass shards. Plus, the glass broke rather cleanly. Ah! What is it? I touched the glass and I cut my finger. It hurts, Mr. Edgeworth, it hurts. Please tell me you can deal with such a minor cut on your own. Is this the same man as the one portrayed by the statues around the elevator? Yeah, it's the paperweight of the founder of iFly Airlines, Mr. Hugo iFly. Hugo iFly. Heh. On the bottom shelf, we go find the cute one. Middle shelf is the realistic one. And on the top shelf, that's the floral version. Floral? Are you sure about that? Let me guess. You just said the first thing that came to your mind, right? Looks like I hit the bullseye. So the glass is broken on the outside. For security, there's a lock on the display case. Miss Meal, if I may ask you about this lock. The one's in charge of the shop is Miss Rhoda, so she's got the keys to all the display cases. I see. Oh, I bet you want to buy something. Do you want me to go get the key from her? No, that's all right. What can we deduce from this? The fact that they're... Seat 5. The brief refueling. What I feel may have happened is that during the turbulence, it's entirely possible that this flew out. There's definitely something very unusual about this. About what? If the killer had broken the glass to get at Mr. iFly Bank, there should be shards of glass inside the case itself. Oh, I see. Yeah, I guess it'd be like that. However, there's not a single piece of glass inside the display case. No, there isn't. Which means that the glass was broken from the inside out. The piggy bank must have fallen over from the turbulence and right through the glass. Yeah, that's for sure. There's so much glass all over the floor. I'm willing to bet that this hat was knocked off its head at the time, too. Eh? That's nice. Which leads me to believe that the killer took the iFly from here after the turbulence. Now we know all about this. Take your power naps on your own time, Miss Meal, and listen to what I'm talking. But the murder occurred before the turbulence, which rules this piggy bank out as the murder weapon. So you mean the bank's not the real murder weapon? It's a fake? Yes, at this point, that is a very real possibility. Then what if when the killer went to take Mr. iFly, they broke the glass by accident? The display case was locked, so that's highly unlikely. Yeah, but there's one person who could've. Oh? And who would that be? Miss Rhoda, of course. I mean, she's the one in charge of this whole place, so she has the keys to everything. Miss Rhoda Tenario. Interesting. Definitely something to consider. About the shop. I cut my finger on those bad pieces of glasses. Those pieces of glass. Don't blame the glass for something you did to yourself. Just be more careful. Same to you. You're the one walking all over broken glass. You sure you're okay? I'm fine. Any glass I walk on, I crush. Like this. That's nice. Please be careful around the display case, okay? Wouldn't want you to get hurt. Compared to the glass around my feet, the inside of the case is nothing to be afraid of. After all, no glass fragments appear to have ended up inside. I guess even you could tidy up the case, right? Perish the thought! I actually have a question I want to bring up to you.
So what is that? You gonna give it to me? I'm not supposed to accept any presents. Unless they're really worth something.
Alright! Please do. Okay, I have a question about this phone. Nope. The piggy bank? Miss Rhoda said the piggy bank was in the shop, right? Don't you find her a tiny bit suspicious? I don't think I can say either way yet. There's not enough evidence to convince me that she was lying about anything back there. Are you sure about that? I don't know, why do you feel so aggressive about it? This is your own testimony. Like I said earlier, I was the one answering people's calls while we were refueling in Zhangfa. And Mr. Hicks was in his seat at the time. What time was that again? He called around 5 a.m. You were at the seat around that time too then, you know. I do recall people calling for service around that time. Even if this turns out to be a waste of time, I must stand firm. I just know that there is a vital clue or two awaiting me in the shop. Has to be somewhere. Beautiful flowers in a beautiful arrangement. I feel cleansed just by looking at them. Mr. Edgeworth, you getting pollen all over? Oh, excuse me. What else can there be? The turbulence with the suitcase. Yes, there's definitely something wrong here. What was the son yelling? Tell me, Miss Meal, don't you think there's something strange about these suitcases? Oh, well, sure, they're totally strange, like the color and the such. That's not what I'm talking about. Now pay attention. Oh, you're scaring me, Mr. Edgeworth. Sorry. These suitcases are lined up to a bit too prim and proper. Yeah, they look a bit uptight, don't they? But I guess they take after the creator. Again, that's not what I meant, Miss Meal. Don't you find it unusual that these cases are the only thing undisturbed by the turbulence? Never mind, I'd sooner find an answer by inspecting these suitcases myself. On closer inspection, they really are quite hideous. I wonder how Miss Rhoda would have reacted if she heard you say what you just said. What's wrong? She makes a good point. It'd be wise for me to watch what I say out loud. What is this? I've spotted something not quite right. What's so unusual about this suitcase? Where's the stand? There's something very peculiar about these wheels. Huh? As in? As in, there's no stoppers in place on these. Without stoppers, one would think that turbulence would have sent it flying. And so it is very likely that the suitcase was placed here after we hit the turbulence. Let's take a closer look at it, shall we? Let's go. This is apparently designed by Miss Tenero herself. The design is a certain je ne sais quoi about it. Yes, that's the best way to put it. Je ne sais quoi. Let's... How do I open this person thing? There it is. It appeared to be unlocked. Let's take a look what's inside. Piece of cloth. And it's soaked with blood. Ah, it's blood! It appears that this suitcase is very strongly tied to our murder after all. So explain this to me. What does the suitcase have to do with the murder? I believe it's pretty safe to say that the killer used this suitcase in some manner. Such as to move something, perhaps?
Aren't you just talking about the cloth then?
That alone is too small. A larger item would have needed to move what I'm thinking of. The thing I believe the killer used the suitcase to transport is the body. Something that would fit inside a suitcase, which is also covered in blood. Sounds like a dead body, doesn't it? Let's make notes of these.
But...
In light of this, I'd say that Mr. Hicks was moved into the elevator from someplace else. Which means that the murder was committed in an entirely different location!
So you're saying that after moving the body into the elevator, the killer broke the suitcase in here. They brought the suitcase in here and just left it?
Exactly. What is it?
Nothing. It's just that I was thinking about what Miss Rhoda said about coming here for something. Excuse me, Mr. Edgeworth. I wanted to give you a bit more time, but I'm afraid I wasn't able to convince the captain. I'm very sorry, Mr. Edgeworth, but the captain feels that he has allowed you ample time. He says that he'd appreciate you if you could wrap it up from here and return to your seat.
I understand his sentiments, however, if I'm not allowed to complete my investigation. The crime scene may become contaminated by the time we land. If I must stop, then I insist I be allowed to oversee the preservation of the two sites. Under your supervision, of course.
That's only your only condition, and I believe we can accommodate your wishes. I'm here to assist you in any way that I can, Mr. Edgeworth. Sounds like fun! We can camp out and watch over everything together.
I found proof that the real crime scene was not in the lounge, and that I have enough evidence to prove myself to be innocent of any wrongdoing. And yet, regarding what Miss Mew reminded me about Miss Tenero, I can't allow my investigation to end here. The truth must come to light. That's the end of the first stage. Again, I'm LuigiJohn64D, and this is Let's Play Miles Edgeworth Investigations Turnabout Airlines. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll be back for the next segment. See you next time.